Mr. Subir Chakraborty is our alumnus from 19th batch. May I request Mr. Chakraborty to come on the dais, please? Yeah.
May I request Professor Sarkar to welcome Mr. Chakraborty with the shawl. May I request Shri Krishna Kulkarni, Chairman, BOG, to hand over the Distinguished Alumnus Award and the citation scroll to Mr. Chakraborty. May I request Professor Avinash Kumar to come on stage and read the citation for Mr. Chakraborty.
We take immense pleasure in honoring Mr. Subir Chakraborty, an alumnus of the 19th batch of IIM Calcutta, for his stellar corporate career. Mr. Chakraborty has spent nearly 4 decades working in various capacities in several organizations, out of which he has spent more than 25 years at Exide Industries Limited, rising from the level of general manager to the position of managing director and CEO. Additionally, he serves as the chairman on the board of several subsidiary companies located out of India as well as abroad. He qualified as a mechanical engineer from IIT Madras, earning his BTech in 1980 with distinction. Thereafter, he worked for nearly 2 years as an engineer and then enrolled at IIM Calcutta to pursue the 2-year postgraduate program in management, completing his PGDM in 1984. During Subir's years at the helm, Exide has prospered under his leadership, recording continuous spate of growth in turnover and profit and maintaining the numero uno position in the battery industry. He played a key role in extending the core mission statement of the company to include the wider space of energy business by opening new vistas in the development of integrated solutions such as suitable products and systems for microgrids at the rural level as well as for battery energy storage systems in the power sector, thereby enabling Exide to become the first battery company in India to offer holistic offerings for these emerging segments. He is extremely passionate about the cause of sustainability and has steered Exide to being a front runner in the lithium-ion space through a foray in setting up a lithium-ion pack and module unit in Gujarat, and subsequently through a very major capital investment for building a gigawatt-hour cell-making plant in Bengaluru. Subir firmly believes that disseminating knowledge on sustainability to a larger audience can go a long way in accelerating positive outcomes and has addressed several seminars on sustainability and business at prestigious events, including the seminal talk he gave at the COP26 conference at Glasgow on the theme Address Transformation to Green Mobility in India. He is deeply involved in business bodies and associations and is the current immediate past president of Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is also a National Council member of Confederation of Indian Industry. A steadfast champion in improving the quality of living for the lesser fortunate, Subir is energetically driving CSR initiatives as the MD and CEO of Exide in the areas of basic education in schools, healthcare, environment, community development, and women empowerment, impacting more than 2 lakh individuals positively. He has received several accolades and awards during his career, including the India Energy Storage Alliance Lifetime Achievement Award in May 2023. He remains interested in the academic pursuits and has been a guest faculty at several management institutions of repute. Subir also takes off time to indulge in creative impulses as a poet and has published 3 anthologies till date. He is happily married for more than 4 decades and is blessed with a daughter and now a granddaughter as well. We acknowledge Mr. Chakraborty's significant achievements as an exemplary professional with significant achievements at transforming businesses to take on the challenge of the future, as well as for consistently pursuing the cause of sustainability both within and outside the company with enormous pride, and bestow upon him the Institute's highest honor for its alumni, the Distinguished Alumnus Award. Congratulations.
May I request Mr. Chakraborty to share a few words?
Sri Krishna Kulkarni, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Sri Venkatesh, our chief guest today, Professor Shodev Shorkar, Director in charge, IMC, and Professor Manish Thakur. All members of the distinguished audience, I wish you all a very good evening. It gives me immense pleasure to be back on the campus. But before I get on with other topics, I guess it is time for acknowledgements. To all my teachers, and especially those at IMC, for developing in me a modicum of conceptual clarity and a keen sense of purpose. They were a great lot, and my salutations to each one of them for doing such a fine job. Sadly, many of them are no more. However, there's Professor Sudas Roy in the audience somewhere. Thank you, sir, for attending the function today. To my parents, for nurturing me in my childhood and then getting out of the way, allowing me to make my own mistakes and learn from life. I wish both could have attended this function so that they could have lived these moments along with me. But then that is not to be on account of health issues, although I know they continue to shower their blessings on me from wherever they are. To the enduring and lasting friendships which I built on this campus. Fortunately, some of my batchmates and some from the IIM Calcutta chapter are present. Hearty cheers to all of you, and thank you for being here with me on this special occasion. To my wife, to whom I have been married for more than 4 decades, and without whose steadfast support and encouragement, especially when the chips were down, I certainly would not have made it to this stage. She did this selflessly despite pursuing a busy career as a medical professional, and to her I owe a lot. Fortunately, she is present in the audience. Thank you, darling, for everything. To our daughter and only child who is here today and who certainly brought a fresh perspective to our lives. She is now a mother, and as we see her negotiating the generation gap with a 3-year-old daughter who is already displaying a strong mind of her own, we sit back, remember our younger days, and think that life has come one full circle. Which, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the topic of circularity and sustainability on which I wish to speak today. Why is sustainability important? Before I start on sustainability, let me tell you that the origin of sustainability lies in systems theory. Let me explain how. If you take out from a system and give back nothing in return, will the system be stable? Take the family as a system, or our oceans as a system. If we continue to take out fish from the oceans and not create conditions for them to breed, will the ocean be stable as a system? So where did we go wrong? If you look at the classical definition of profit in economics, which is perhaps taught even today in schools and colleges, it states that you exploit land, labor, and capital to make profit. It's a very simple equation and a valid one. But for a moment, think about this equation from the point of view of circularity. To labor, you give salaries. Against capital, you give dividend and interest. But what do you give to the land? When I say land, it also includes the air and the water, which we are supposed to exploit to manufacture profits. Where is the concept of circularity here? Sustainability may be a new concept to modern man, but it was certainly practiced widely in some so-called primitive societies. If you take the Adivasis in India, before modernity touched them, and we wanted to modernize the primitive peoples, they led a fairly sustainable life, completely in tune with their dwellings, which was the forest. If you look at the Congolese in Congo, when the Belgians arrived there, they found the Congolese to be a fairly content lot, completely in tune with their environment and totally unexposed to commercial agriculture, which was the order of the day. So, what did the Belgians do? They took many of these Congolese as slaves and introduced commercial agriculture in a place where none existed. So how do we give back to land or the air or the water? We replenish. We dig ponds. We plant mangroves on our coastlines. We clean up rivers. We reduce pollution, ensure carbon balance. Above all, we practice circularity in all our industrial and household processes. It is high time for economists to bring environmental economics or sustainability economics to the center stage of all economics curricula. I'm happy to note that IMC has set up CDEP, Center for Development and Environment Policy, way back in 1998, and has set the tone for other institutions to emulate. Now let me come to the other part of my subject. You know, COVID taught us a lot of lessons. One of the significant ones which come to my mind is that natural disasters do not differentiate between the affluent and the non-affluent. This was suddenly discovered during the COVID outbreak. The very rich were getting it as much as the very poor. In fact, perhaps the affluent were more vulnerable, as they lacked the exposure and the immunity to fight the virus. There are some beggar families who stay just outside Exide House where I work. And during the COVID period, I found them maskless, lying on the road, without any protection. And I still find those same members of that family still there existing, and nothing really happened to them. Perhaps they already had the immunity against this virus. So, study of income disparity becomes important because to protect themselves, the affluent now need to uplift the not so affluent. This may sound paradoxical. Let me explain. The air that we breathe also comes through the lungs of the beggars that live on the streets. The water that comes to our households, that runs through the same hutments which house the poorest of the poor. And what they normally do is to create leaks in those pipes, so the water that you get is sometimes contaminated. Therefore, study of inequality or income disparity becomes important, not only from an ethical or a moralistic point of view, which are important in their own right, but for the affluent, from a very selfish point of view as well. It is also important from the point of view of sustainability, since humans will only be able to look at sustainability once their basic needs are met. If only 20% of the population follow sustainable practices and the balance 80% do not, how does it really help? A man who doesn't have food in his belly, he will not be thinking about sustainability. Fortunately, inequality is a subject which is widely studied by economists, although its effect on sustainability needs deeper exploration. Now let me tie this up for you. You know, humans love to compete against each other. This is what propels the evolutionary engine. Region versus region, country versus country, man versus man. Competition is not bad. It really helps us to evolve, to improve. How do we measure economic competition between countries? Every day when you open the paper, you have headlines screaming at you, telling you about the GDP. That is the single most important indicator of economic progress and growth. And yet, what really is GDP? It is only a measure of consumption of goods and services. But is it really good enough? Nations compete with each other trying to climb up the GDP ladder. Somebody is number 10, somebody is number 5, somebody wants to be number 1. And this is considered the single most important index for defining the prosperity of a nation. It may be so from a narrow point of view, but is it holistic enough? Does it encapsulate all our present concerns? The present global GDP is US $112 trillion. Let me ask you a simple question. Will all the problems of this world cease if we double or treble our GDP? If it becomes 200 trillion, if it becomes 300 trillion, will all our problems cease? Is it not time we looked at other measures? Can we not have a measure like GDP adjusted for sustainability as well as for income disparities? Something which captures the concerns of today and is more holistic in nature, so that competition amongst nations translates into the long-term survival of our planet. It is time, in fact, high time, for all of us to think again, for as Abraham Lincoln once said, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for patiently listening to my speech, and thank you once again, my alma mater, for honoring me with this award. I wish you all a pleasant evening ahead. Thank you.